Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, March 6th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. All right, it's an absolutely insane news day. I mean, the news aggregation process for today was extremely straining, and that's why we're a little later than normal today. And part of the reason is because there's so much misinformation and disinformation just coming out really of all over the world. You try to get a feel for what's really going on in the Middle East. It's almost impossible to source what the reality is. You try to get a feel for what the attitude of Europe is right now. It's almost impossible to source or find any consistency in the reporting in both of these regions. So I'm kind of going through that process, and ultimately I just decided I'm just going to scrap it all. Now, there'll be moments today where we do have some news out of there that I was able to source and confirm as good information, but there's this kind of circle of misinformation and disinformation surrounding it that makes it so hard to figure out what's going on. So normally when you have a situation like that means that it's being done intentionally and somebody doesn't want you to know what's really going on. That's kind of the traditional history whenever there's misinformation, disinformation, misdirection, and confusion in a fog of war like this. Somebody doesn't want you to know what's really going on. And I think on the other side of that is a lot of these countries right now, they're still trying to figure out what's going on. They're still confused and misdirected right now, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. The whole thing is a mess. At the end of the day, the whole thing is a mess. The Trump administration clearly doesn't even have their ducks in a row on this situation. And who knows if they ever meant that it was only going to be a couple days. Who knows if that was serious or not? Who knows if they really knew? And now there's news coming out that Susie Wiles is apparently running around the White House pulling her hair out. It's like, oh my gosh, because she's in charge of the midterms. She's got the big grand plan for the Republicans to win the midterms. And she's going to put Trump out there. He's going to be campaigning, which quite frankly shows you what a mess the administration is, what a letdown the administration is. The fact that you have to put Trump on the campaign trail says that the actions, the policies, the results of this administration are not strong enough to get people to go out and vote Republican. So she's going to have Trump leading from the front. But now she's seeing the gas prices, a record surge, the highest surge in a week since 1983. And she's running around panicked that this is going to cost her the midterms. Susie, you're a little late to the party, babe. You're a little late to the party. Quite frankly, the gas prices are going to impact the midterms, but nowhere near as much as the war will. Nowhere near as much as the Epstein files will. Nowhere near as much as stopping Doge from going all the way will. Nowhere near as much telling the American people how great the economy is when they know it's not. Those are the things that's going to do it. So the gas prices, maybe she just figures that's the straw that's going to break the camel's back. But I do have all the news on the gas prices. And then we, of course, have we've got all the different war updates that I was able to source out and confirm these developments. As I said, it's so hard to do this. We'll explain that. Cuba back in the news. I got a couple of Never Doubt Me folks in the news today where everyone else missed it. The Owen Report had it spot on. We'll have a couple of those for you today. We'll see if we can get to some of this other stuff. I got some other odds and ends out of the administration today. Just tons of news. And we're probably going to have to end the broadcast a little early because I told Jimmy Dore that I would go on his show tonight at 5:30. And I don't think I can do a cross stream. I might try to do that, but if I can't, I'm probably just going to end this one and go on to the Jimmy Dore show. I promised him I'd do it. So we're going to do that today. It's a loaded day. Today, it's just for a Friday, this is loaded.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, the show is so loaded today, I had to get an extra hit of coffee. It's true. So if I seem a little wound up, that's why. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, what do I need right now? I need coffee, and I need it instantly. So I went for my premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. If you like coffee, why wouldn't you want premium coffee instantly? You would. That's where Blackout Coffee comes in. Now, you may have heard of other instant coffees, and so maybe you're like, oh, no. No. Instant coffee, no good. Doesn't taste like coffee. It tastes watered down. It doesn't do it. For coffee drinkers, instant coffee usually, no, they're shaking their head. Not premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. I'm telling you, it's the only instant coffee out there that actually drinks like coffee, that actually tastes like coffee. And if you're itching for coffee, you need some coffee, whatever it is, premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen will take care of you. Unlike any other instant coffee on the market. Trust me, I've tried them. They're no good. This one, by far the best. I don't even think you can say it's the best. I don't think there's any other instant coffee really out there. There's like instant coffee drink. It's not really coffee. This is actually coffee. Trust me. If you got an office, bunch of people working there all day, a bunch of coffee drinkers, and you know how it is. Sometimes you don't want to do a full pot of coffee. It's a pain in the butt. You got to clean up. You're not going to drink 6, 7, 8 cups. You just want one. Get a bunch of boxes of these, put them in the kitchen at your office, and your employees will thank you. They'll say, my goodness, finally, I don't have to make an entire pot of coffee just to get one cup. They can get the premium instant coffee right there in one little packet. Comes with 32. Right now, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Of course, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. They've got your premium coffee bags, whole grain bound. They've got more than 30 flavors of the single serve pods, if you're into that as well. If you have not shopped with the official coffee of the Owen Report, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, right now, coupon code Owen will get you 20% off your purchase. That's right, 20% off your purchase right now. If you haven't shopped before, first purchase, use coupon code Owen. You can get 20% off at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen.
Turn my system on.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
I'm struggling here. I would normally be going for my gold mug, my gold Blackout Coffee Don't Tread on Me mug, and I'm running around here before the show doing the final levels of aggregation, which I'm telling you, honestly, today was one of the most difficult aggregation processes I've ever gone through. And luckily, I've been doing it enough that I kind of know when it's time to just like admit that you're not going to find what you're looking for, or admit that this is clearly being misdirected and misinformed intentionally. So you're not going to find it. So it was a wild process to get ready, and I don't have my Blackout coffee mug here, and so I'm feeling I don't know, what do you call that when you're used to like a habit? Like right before I do my intro, I grab my mug, I take a drink, and it's not there. What do you call that? I'm lost. We're gonna have to just struggle through. So I don't really, I could sit here and monologue. I think the monologue is already done, because as I see it right now, the Trump administration was clearly rushed into this. They were clearly rushed into this, and they did not have the time to properly prepare. Now, you can go with whatever theory you want as far as why they had to rush into this war in Iran now, but there's enough circumstantial evidence that shows that that's the case. I think that if you go back to last year, and you recall when Trump was celebrating annihilating their nuclear facilities, obliterating it, okay, they're done, it's over. And then it kind of started to come out that, well, wait a second, maybe that's not true. There were Israeli media sources, there were Western media sources saying, no, it was not obliterated, or perhaps Iran got whatever nuclear material, whatever material they wanted, they got it out of there before the bombs hit. And then Trump was coming out and saying, no, we destroyed it. We destroyed it. Stop saying we didn't. We destroyed it. And it became abundantly clear at that time that Trump was trying to signal to the media like, hey, I'm trying to avoid a larger conflict here, okay? Just say we destroyed it. Because if you say we didn't destroy it and then we didn't destroy it, guess what? Now we got to do a war. So just say we destroyed it. It's like, hey. It's like staring you down like, hey, you going to play along here? Like, please play along. I'm going to need you to play along here. And then eventually, oh, it wasn't destroyed. It was partially damaged. They got the materials out, whatever. But that was last year that it was clear like, okay, Trump doesn't want a bigger conflict. He doesn't want to do the regime change. He ran on it. It's what he told people for 8 years. So now he's just saying, hey, just say we destroyed it. Can't you see what I'm trying to do here? All right. So it kind of goes away. We go through the rest of last year. And then Bibi Netanyahu goes to the White House. They have that meeting on New Year's Eve. Clearly, that's when the decision was made that they were going to start this war at the start of 2026. Now, again, you can go back into the theories as to why. I think the two leading theories right now, one, it is now becoming quite obvious that the Republicans are looking like they're going to lose the midterms, the House and potentially the Senate now as well. So that hurts the Trump agenda. And it could be even worse than just congressional stalling or whatever else they want to do. They could ultimately impeach President Trump again, this time perhaps with good reason that could end up resulting in something substantial. So this gave them the motivation to say, hey, we have to do this now before the midterms. And from Trump's perspective, he says, well, we don't have the capacity to launch this war right now. We don't have the oil reserves. If we launch this war now, oil prices are going to skyrocket. There'll be nothing I can do about it. We're not strategically in a good place right now for the oil market. We haven't done the mass deportations. We're not even sure how many potential terrorists could have come in the Biden administration. So he's telling Bibi, he's like, look, we can't do this yet. We are not in a position to do this yet. And then what happens? Then the Epstein files come out. And then Trump's name is in the Epstein files. And then he launches the war. And then the DOJ takes the Epstein files back and redacts Trump's name out of them. And now the war is on. Well, there's been another development on that today that has me extremely concerned. So it looks like Trump was forced into this. And then, of course, we find out with the recent comments from Rubio and others that it was Israel that forced Trump's hand because Israel did the initial strike. And then we had the obvious assumption or intelligence that if Israel launched a strike, that Iran would then strike our bases in the region. And then that's what happened. So that forced the Trump administration's hand after Israel did the strikes that we had to get involved because now our personnel was going to be targeted. So it looks like there's the developments that led us to this point. But as we've done every day, we will do it again today. This is the opposite of what Trump ran on. There is no debate. That's not a political debate. That's not a policy debate. We've played clips every single day since this war started. We've probably played half an hour of clips. Trump ran against getting involved in Iran. Trump ran against more involvement in the Middle East. Trump ran even specifically against regime change wars in the Middle East. All of this are right from his campaign statements. All of it. So that is undeniable. You cannot deny that that is the truth. So we have one more. Trump asked about the Middle East in 2018 while he was president.
You're inclined to pull the troops out?
I want to get out. I want to bring our troops back home. I want to start rebuilding our nation. We will have, as of 3 months ago, $7 trillion in the Middle East over the last 17 years. We get nothing out of it. Nothing.
You're inclined to pull the troops.
So now it's more troops in, more money in, more war. Totally against everything Trump ran on in 2016. Totally against why so many people, specifically so many people that voted for Obama, voted for Trump. And I think the one issue that swings every election now, which is foreign policy in the Middle East. That's why Obama won. That's why Trump won. And whoever runs next, that's why they will win. And all the signs point to the Democrats taking that direction. Now, we understand why the mixed messaging on is this a war or is this not? Because if you admit it's a war, well, now you've got a whole nother problem because there was no congressional approval. And now you're opening yourself up for a reason, a legitimate reason to be impeached. So that's why you have this mixed messaging and this back and forth. Here's Mike Johnson trying to protect Trump today after the War Powers Resolution vote failed.
Well, we just had an important series of votes on the House floor. As you know, the War Powers Resolution failed. That is the right result. We are not at war. We have no intention of being at war. The President and the Department of Defense have made this very clear. The Department of War has made it very clear. This is a limited operation. It's an operation that's limited in its scope and duration. It has a very clear mission, and that mission is nearly accomplished by all estimates. We are taking down Iran's ballistic missile capability, its stockpile, and its ability to produce more. They were doing that at a scale and a speed that was more than our regional allies could keep up with, and it was a serious and imminent threat to the United States. We don't need to relitigate all that today, but also we wanted to take down the capability of their Navy, and all of that has been very successful. So this needs to continue. It would have been a very dangerous gambit to take the Commander-in-Chief's ability away to complete this mission. It would have been a very serious misstep by Congress, and I'm grateful that resolution failed.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and break down all the complete and utter propaganda that Mike Johnson just spewed there. I think it's also obvious at this point. But, you know, here's where I'm at as far as people that support this, because I hear from plenty of them. And it mostly is a generational thing. And it's kind of, do you believe what you were told in the 80s? Do you believe what you were told in the 90s? Do you believe September 11th? It kind of gets into that realm of things. But hey, you want to support it? You want to have the debate? You want to support it? Okay. Here's my problem. If you want to support this and I can't change your mind and that's how you feel, that's your prerogative. That's your opinion. My issue is, how can you sit here, whether you support it or not, how can you sit here and tolerate being absolutely lied to and gaslit by your politicians? To me, that's not a policy issue. That's not a do you support the war or not issue. This ridiculousness that, oh, we're not at a war. Oh, we've got limited scale and scope. Oh, we've got a clear agenda. It's clearly not a war. That is outright propaganda. These are outright lies. This is complete and total gaslighting. So if you want to support it and you think there's legitimate reasons to do this military action, how can you not sit here and be offended that you're being lied to by your politicians? And see, I think that here's the catch. I think this is the catch, because if you admit in this moment that these politicians are lying to you about this war, see, now you have to start to question your own belief system. Now you have to start to question whether or not it's legitimate to have this war, or whether or not your opinions on this matter are based off of legitimate ideas or legitimate information, or just all lies. And I think that's where the catch here is. That's the catch here. So I'm just like, whatever, man. People want to support this. I don't, you do. But how can we sit here as Americans, whether we support this or not, how can we sit here as Americans and not look at that and be like, holy smokes, that is an outright lie. That is total propaganda. That is total gaslighting. I, as an American citizen, am offended that they think I'm an idiot. I, as an American citizen, am offended that they get up there every single day and blatantly lie to us and propagandize us and gaslight us. And it's all over this war that we know at least 6 Americans have died in. And it's likely more. It's likely more. So now you have to start to ask the next tough questions. All right. There's your war propaganda of the day from Mike Johnson. We all know why they're doing it. So then here's the question. Do you have, okay, oh, it's not a war. It's not a war. And he says we have clear scale and scope of this not war. Okay. So why don't you tell us what that is? I would like to hear it. What is the timetable? Because now the agenda is total surrender and regime change. That's the bottom line. Total surrender and regime change. So what are we talking here? Are we talking about a week? Are we talking about 2 weeks, a month, 6 months? If it takes a year, what are we talking about? You say there's limited scale and scope. What is it? Tell us. They're not telling us. And you know why they're not telling us? Because they don't have a scale and scope. They have an agenda for surrender and regime change. That's what they have. That's all they have. We have limited scale and scope. Okay, is there a financial scale? Is there a dollar amount that you're willing to spend on this regime change war? Can you tell us if it crosses a certain threshold that it's done? What about deaths? So you might say, okay, well, we can't tell them the scope and scale of this, because then that gives them a little bit of a strategic advantage. Well, now all of a sudden it sounds like you're at war. What about a death toll? So then forget about the administration. Forget about Mike Johnson. Forget about the lying politicians. I would just ask the people that support this then. All right, the White House, the Republicans, they claim they have a limited scope and scale here, but we don't know what that is. So I would ask the people that support this, what is your limitations? If you support the war in Iran, what are your limitations? All right, let's say the bottom line that we have from the White House is that we need complete surrender and a regime change. Okay, so that's the aim. That's the goal. That's what you're supporting now. So I would ask the people that support this, because we're not going to get any honesty out of our politicians. So I would just ask the people, what is your limit? Do you have a limit? How many American lives is it worth? How much money is it worth? How long? If it goes longer than 2 weeks, will you say it's too much? If it goes longer than 2 months, if it goes longer than 6 months, if it goes longer than a year, what are your limits? 10 Americans dead? 100 Americans dead? 1,000 Americans dead? Do you care? Do you have a limit on how many Americans? Do you have a dollar amount? Should we spend 10 billion? Should we spend 100 billion? Should we spend another trillion? What are your scopes and scales? I know mine. Mine have all been crossed. I'm $0. I'm 0 American lives. I'm 0 days. So I already knew mine. I already knew mine heading into this. I was 0 across the board. So my limits have already been passed. So this is why I'm upset. This is why I'm against it, because I had my limits. All of them were surpassed. So if you still support this, I would just ask, what are your limits? And if you're not willing to say, well, okay, maybe I do need to lay down some limits and think about how much I want to support this. If you're not willing to do that, then what are you really saying? What you're saying is you don't think for yourself, you don't want to think for yourself, and you support a war. That's what you're saying. I support a war no matter the cost. And it's amazing here, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. We could do a whole show on this. But it is amazing here to watch all the people during the Trump campaigns that were anti-war. And, of course, now they're pro-war. Like one of the nastiest women in America, Laura Loomer. And this one actually happened in, like a week? I can't believe so many people are deficient in their understanding of civics in the United States that these people don't understand the difference between a war and a strategic strike. We're so doomed. And then a week later, I'm not calling for censorship. I'm calling for thorough enforcement, and I'm calling for enforcement of the Logan Act. It is treason to be supporting an enemy during a time of war. So Laura Loomer, in less than a week, goes from it's not a war to it is a war. Guys, here, let's do one more. Let's do one more. Because she's obviously not the only one. She's just become one of the most despicable people out there. Captive dreamer. Here's another one. And I will tell you, you have to be careful with these people. These are psychotic people. These are like the radical left that will try to get you killed. They are. These are the type of people that will have you SWAT teamed, that will dox you, that will try to torment you, torture you, torment your family, destroy your life. Trust me, I'm going through it right now with these people. So you kind of have to be careful because these people are psychotic now. So during the campaign, he says, if there's a single U.S. boot dropped on Iran during Trump's presidency, I'll make a video denouncing the entire MAGA movement. So he gets asked now that Americans have died. He says, it doesn't even matter now. Oh, it doesn't matter now. He doesn't care anymore. As long as he capitalizes he, like Trump is God, as long as he controls immigration, I don't care what happens. Well, he hasn't controlled immigration. We had 20 million people come into this country illegally, and how many have been deported? Not even 1 million. So immigration is not under control, and you capitalizing he is quite an alarming thing, actually. Guys, it's so funny. You have to be measured when you're doing this stuff in political media because, and I'm not trying to sit here and make anything a bigger deal than it is, but the reality of the situation is when you're in political media, you to a certain extent are putting your life on the line. And maybe that's literally like life or death, or it's just people will just try to destroy your life, try to ruin your life. But I have proof that it's both. I have proof that these people want me dead. I have proof of it. So that's what it is. So I've now had to deal with the radical left, the psychotic radical left hatred that wants me dead. Now I have to deal with the psychotic radical right hatred that wants me dead. These people are total psychos. Now I'm showing you this because you need to understand these are soulless ghouls. They don't stand for anything. They say what they think is convenient. They say what they think is popular. They don't even know what they've said. 1 week ago, they say this isn't a war. And now today they say you better support America in this war or you're committing treason. And if anybody's a foreign agent, it's them. You want to know how bad it is? I wasn't gonna bring this up, but maybe I should. Do you want to know how bad it is, guys? Do you want to know how pathetic these people are? If you follow the Clips account, which I told you, it's called like Owen Schroyer Clips or something. Owen Schroyer Updates. I don't run this account. There is a social media team that runs this account. They did ask me if I would like any say over it. I said no. You guys do whatever you want with it. So I don't run this account. I don't have say over what the titles are. I've given the people that do these clips total creative control over the captions, over the titles. So a title gets posted, and it's like a good thing and a bad thing. But a title gets posted. I think this is from yesterday. Owen Schroyer says he is done trying to be friendly with MAGA and Israel first pro-war conservative. So I didn't write that. I didn't make this clip. I already told them I don't need creative control. You guys do what you want, so that's fine. So I'm going in here, and I see all of these comments. Actually, looks like the comments have turned around. I'd have to go find the accounts. Let me see if I can find one as an example. Some of these big MAGA accounts that are just fully indoctrinated into the Trump cult that shared that clip because they're all crying about it. You know, cult members don't like it when people leave the cult or they realize that they were never interested in being in the cult to begin with. I want to find this one. I don't know if I'll be able to, but they're saying, guys, this is how dumb they are. Let me stop wasting time. This is how dumb they are. And I made a joke about this a couple weeks ago. Here it is. Look at this. Look at this. 0 hour 1. How many followers? 375. Stay mad, he says. Yeah. A guy living in a garage at his mom's house. Totally have no idea how we will manage. So this is how dumb they are. I can't believe this. They actually think, I know we made the joke of this a couple weeks ago. Allow me a little, let's do a little pressure relief here. Have a laugh. These people are so dumb that they actually think I'm in a garage. Now, whatever about the living in the mom's basement. I guess that's just a joke, a troll. So I love you, Mom. Love you. But she doesn't live in the same city. Okay. So no, I live on my own, have lived on my own since I was like 18. But okay. This is how dumb they are. They actually think I'm in a garage. Do you understand how dumb these people are? So let me, because here's the thing. I want everybody on the same team here. I'm not your enemy. So I'm going to try to help you out. I said, the clip says I'm done being friendly. Let me be friendly for a minute. How dumb are you that you think this is a garage door? Okay. So what? So here's the bottom of the door. And then what? And then you pull your car in and you take a 3-foot drop. Is that how it works? I'm just trying to figure out, because you guys are convinced it's a garage door. So you pull your car in right here. Here's the bottom when you're outside on the driveway. And then you pull your car in and it falls down 3 feet. Is that the garage that I'm in? Have you never seen a radio studio before? Do you have any idea what soundproofing looks like? So if you want to have a different political opinion than me, if you want to disagree with me on politics, if you even want to, Cast some shade in my direction. I'm all for it, bro. I don't take politics personally. You guys do this. You guys are the ones freaking out. You guys are the ones in denial. I'm just telling you, maybe you're not as smart as you think you are. Maybe you're not as smart as you think you are. Yeah, you got me, guys. I'm in a garage, man. It's the craziest thing. When I got my house, I saw the garage had a I did the construction. I said, I'm just going to jackhammer 3 feet down into the ground after the driveway. I mean, come on, guys. All right, a little laugh. But I notice it's like Dana Loesch's husband and, this guy, all these big MAGA cultists now that got really mad over that clip. I like it. I enjoy it. You guys don't get it. I've been doing this professionally for years. Like, you think I'm new to controversy? I don't know. Let's see. Which one of us spent time in prison in solitary confinement? Which one of us has had guns pointed at them? Like, you guys think, what do you think? I'm intimidated by you? But what's funny is none of them, not a single one of them, can offer an intelligent or intellectual rebuttal to anything I'm saying. None of them. All they can say is, I'm mad. I'm crying. I'm in a garage. All right. I guess it was a little fun for a Friday. I guess it was a little fun for a Friday. But what do we think about this clip from Pete Hegseth?
If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you.
So I wonder if they're aware that Israel has killed multiple Americans. 9, actually, to be exact, in their war in Palestine. 9. Israel has killed 9 Americans. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Pete Hegseth doesn't even know that. That's the level of ridiculousness we have with this administration, is that Hegseth probably doesn't even know that. People think I'm being facetious when I say this. And that's not even necessarily a knock on Hegseth. It's like he's got other things to deal with. But people think I'm joking when I say this. Like, most of your politicians, most of your policymakers, most of the people in D.C. probably don't have the same amount of information as you have. Now, obviously, they have different levels of information that we don't have. So that's not to say that one has some sort of an edge on the other. I'm just saying, I bet you Hegseth doesn't even know that Israel has killed 9 Americans, because by that logic, by the logic that Pete Hegseth just said, but this is just Hegseth being a tough guy. But by that logic, if he means it, then we would be at war with Israel. So obviously he doesn't mean that. Let's hit some of these headlines. U.S. loses 92,000 jobs in widespread and unexpected downturn. So, and we've kind of been covering these different major corporations and tech companies mostly that have been laying off people by the tens of thousands. And the word is it's mostly with AI replacement. But that is happening. So, no, it's not good for the economy. Trump tariffs that were overturned by the Supreme Court. Judge rules companies are entitled to refunds for Trump tariffs overturned. And the number is $130 billion. Companies are entitled to $130 billion in refunds from Trump's tariffs. That's going to be a fun one. And that's, you paid for that, by the way. Now, I will say Costco came out and said they want to find a way to pay back the customers who had to pay for higher prices. I haven't seen any other company say that. But Costco came out and said, if we ever get the refund, we're going to pass that down to the customers who actually paid for the tariffs. It's the only company I've seen do that. So you actually paid for the tariffs, and now the companies are going to get a nice windfall of cash. We'll see if anyone else does that besides Costco. Oil hits $90 a barrel after record weekly gain as Iran war shocks markets. Since the war began last weekend, the price of U.S. crude oil has surged 35%. 35% in a week. That's the most since 1983. That is the most since 1983 in a week. And last I checked, it was actually now over 91. They're saying it's probably going to go over 100. So, but Trump is now accepting that you're going to pay more for gas. Airlines under threat from surge in jet fuel costs. So if you fly a lot, get ready. Airlines warn, brace for impact of more expensive jet fuel, more expensive fares. So jet fuel cost going up. The CEOs are warning their customers. United CEO Scott Kirby says higher airfare could be ahead. And you've already got a bunch of flight delays, so it's all a mess. It's all a mess. How did you not see this one coming? Susie Wiles sounds the alarm on gas prices. White House aides and cabinet officials are coming under intense pressure to reverse the spike in energy prices caused by the start of the war in the Middle East. So they were forced to do this. They were forced to do this before it made any sense. Now you see why we went into Venezuela. It was always about the oil, but the problem is it's not available. So it's going to take 6 months to a year to even tap into the oil there. And you know what? You know who actually got the oil that was readily available? Israel. It's probably worth even showing that. That was an old news story. But all the oil that was actually available for market all went to Israel. There you go. Venezuelan oil gets shipped to Israel for first time in years. So, we did the capture of Maduro really for the oil. Everything else was fake news. And the reason we did it is because we knew that the oil markets would get crushed when we launched this war with Iran. So we said we're going to need the Venezuelan oil to try to balance that out. But they knew it was going to take 6 months to a year to even have this oil ready for market. The oil that was ready for market got shipped to Israel. So they got the oil from Venezuela. We didn't get anything. Now we got Doug Burgum down there trying to work with the oil companies and everything else to get the oil to market as quick as possible. They don't have the infrastructure. It's going to take 6 months to a year. And now the oil companies are going to leverage this desperation, and they're going to ask the U.S. government, the American taxpayer, to pay for the operation. So this whole thing, the expense just keeps going up. Now, we saw that China has stopped all oil exports. China is not exporting oil anywhere. Japan has been cut off from oil exports, and they have barely any reserves. Japan could be in trouble. And now Europe might have an issue. Putin threatens to cut Russian gas to Europe unless EU reverses ban. I wonder how this one's going to go, because as we told you, as the Owen report told you, when no one else saw it coming, everyone else said, oh, the EU, NATO countries, Europe, they're going to back America and Israel and Iran. No, actually, it's quite the opposite. Now, I'm not saying they're going to start being friendly with Russia, but this whole thing is changing. This whole thing is changing fast, because the real reason why Europe pretends that Russia is the boogeyman is because they just steal all of our money for military defense via NATO. So NATO is just a giant slush fund for European countries to steal America's money for their own defense. Well, now that these European countries are kind of breaking from America's foreign policy and they're desperate for Russian energy, I don't know. We'll see what happens with all of this. But I think it's a sign, and I think Putin knows it. I think it's a sign that these European countries don't want anything to do with this war in Iran, and Putin can at least kind of give Iran. Apparently, Russia's sharing intelligence with Iran. Now, Russia's military is spread too thin to get involved with anything militarily. They're involved in Ukraine. But now, since America essentially is at war with Russia and Ukraine, Russia is now playing its hand, sharing intelligence with Iran, and now telling Europe, you better not get involved or we're going to cut our gas off from your country. Now, here's my big concern. We do have more of this war news coming up, but I want to finish this hour with the Epstein information, the latest. Justice Department publishes documents with sexual assault allegations against Trump. Now, this might be the worst of them, folks. The Justice Department posted a trio of FBI interviews with a woman who alleged President Donald Trump sexually assaulted her when she was a young teenager after she was introduced to him by Jeffrey Epstein. Now, again, the reason why I didn't really read these FBI reports is because you don't know what is true. You don't know what is not. Now, I'm not saying that the documents are obviously real, but people can lie and make stuff up. So that's why I mostly just stuck to the emails. But without getting into the details, these are some of the worst allegations that have ever been made against Trump. And, you know, the lesser thing I'm curious about here is, after the mainstream media for years would just go with ridiculous lies about President Trump. I mean, outrageous lies, the E. Jean Carroll bullcrap, that whole segment with Anderson Cooper. So it was the whole Me Too movement, like all of that garbage aimed at Trump. And now it's like they have these Epstein files, these Epstein documents, by far worse than anything they've ever alleged about Donald Trump. I mean, like 10 times worse, guys. It's bad. It's as bad as it gets. So I'm sitting here wondering, it's like they had no problem lying about Trump all these years. Now they have something in these files and they won't even report on it. It's nowhere on the news. So that's a little curious to me. But that's kind of a non-issue. Here's my big concern right now. And this has consistently been my concern. I was saying it all last year, leading up to the Operation Midnight Hammer and everything else. Anybody that's been following my reporting knows I've been saying this is a public blackmail, public pressure campaign to get Trump to launch the regime war in Iran. So last year you had the drip, drip, drip of the drawings with Trump and the letters to Epstein and all of that, drip, drip, drip. And then boom, he strikes Iran. And then all of a sudden it stops. You even had Israeli media reporting, yes, this is us publicly blackmailing Trump. They reported that in Israel. And then the Epstein files, which were supposed to be released last year. And then apparently the story is that Trump was telling them to redact his name from everything, redact the members of the administration's name from everything. I would say that that's probably true. Maybe you can make the argument that that's fair. Whatever you think, that's the reporting. But they were supposed to release it last year. They didn't. They illegally withheld those documents. Then Netanyahu comes to town, obviously telling Trump we're doing this regime change war. And then what happens? Here come the Epstein files. And Trump's name is not redacted. It's in them. Thousands of times. Then what happens? Then Trump says, okay, we're going to war with Iran. They take the files down. All the Trump files, they remove them. And now they're putting out more files with Trump's name in them. Folks, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. The only thing that makes sense is that this is a public pressure and blackmail campaign against President Trump. And he doesn't even control the DOJ. And who's ever determining that these files, we're releasing them, we're taking them back, we're redacting them, we're not redacting them, whoever's doing that is also working against President Trump. Explain to me how it makes sense any other way. So that's what I believe. I believe this is a public pressure, public blackmail campaign with the Epstein files and whatever else they have on Trump and Epstein. Whether it's real or not, whether it's illegal or not, this has been the case. And it's all to get Trump to use our military to get the regime change war in Iran that Bibi Netanyahu has been asking for 40 years. And so here we are. It's not enough. Trump's launching the regime change war, and it's not enough. And now they're releasing the worst files we've seen with Trump's name in them. The worst files we've seen. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, you guys are getting your war. What is it that you want? You got Trump. 6 Americans have died. We're spending $1 billion a day. We're using our military to do the regime change war in Iran that Netanyahu's been asking, requesting, demanding we do for 40 years. It's like, you got it. We're doing it now. So why are they doing this? What else do they want? I will tell you, folks, I am concerned. I said this earlier this week. I can't believe I'm going to say it because it's totally crazy, but I'm thinking it. So why not say it? I think they want Trump to drop a frickin' nuke. Boots on the ground isn't going to do anything. What is boots on the ground going to do? It's not going to work. It's going to be more dead. It's going to be a long, drawn-out thing. I think they want Trump to nuke them. We saw those earthquakes right next to the nuclear testing facility in Nevada. Do we really think those were earthquakes? So to me, this is the latest move in the public blackmail against President Trump with the Epstein files. So they're either demanding boots on the ground or they want Trump to drop a massive bomb, maybe a nuclear bomb, and maybe multiple nuclear bombs. I can't make sense of it any other way. And it has me extremely concerned. By the way, House Oversight Committee votes to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to testify in Epstein probe. So no, the Epstein thing isn't going away, and Pam Bondi is not getting away with her cover-up and lies and that disastrous hearing a couple weeks ago. Maybe she gets fired next with this deal. I don't know why Trump wouldn't fire her now. Maybe he can't. And we got another Epstein scalp. Magician David Copperfield to end Las Vegas residency after 25 years amid his name in the Epstein files. Another scalp. All right. We do have some other war news that we need to get to. We're going to take a quick break here. Come back and get into the war news on the other side.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, guys, I want to show you something here that should concern you. BlackRock limits withdrawals amid rising redemption requests. So we've seen all of these stories now. People are dipping into their 401ks. People are in more debt than ever. People are fearing bank runs, the devaluation of the dollar. But this is BlackRock. These are the richest people. BlackRock limits withdrawals amid rising redemption requests. People are filing hardship requests to dip into their 401k. So you see where this is going. You see where this is going. It's not good for money. It's not good for cash. It's not good for having money in the bank. It's not good for your 401k. So what are you going to do? Well, likely by now you've been thinking about precious metals. Likely by now you've been thinking about gold or silver. I recommend my friends at Allegiance Gold at protectwithowen.com. So you can see all the signs, bank runs, dollar devaluation, all of it. What are you doing to protect your wealth? All the smart people are moving into precious metals. Governments, banks are all moving into precious metals. You just saw the Trump administration cut a deal with Venezuela for a bunch of gold. But let's say you still got questions, concerns. Absolutely. Give them a call. 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191. Or go to protectwithowen.com. But they want to talk to you first. Any questions, any concerns? It's a free phone call. No question, no concern is off limits with our friends at Allegiance Gold. And right now, $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings, $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. But that $5,000 is getting less and less in weight, seemingly every day. I partnered with Allegiance Gold. They've been around for nearly a decade, trusted by nearly 10,000 clients nationwide, relationship-driven, A+ with the Better Business Bureau. And when it comes to precious metals, that means a lot. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. So if you're thinking about this, give them the free phone call, 844-790-9191, or go to protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth because no one else will.
Navigating between the sane and insane. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, into the second hour here. I think we're on a pretty good pace. Here to get through everything. And then at 5:30, I'm going to go on the Jimmy Dore show, and I don't think I'll be able to double stream that, so we'll probably just shut that down. But I think we're on a good pace to get through all of it here. Now, I want to get to the latest war news. And, just to reiterate for the audience that have joined us since the first hour, this has been some of the hardest information to source. This has been some of the hardest information to really drill into and try to decipher what's actually going on as far as the Gulf nation states, Europe, and even on the ground in Iran and Israel. Very hard to grind into the truth on this. Very difficult. So I don't even know. The only conclusion, I guess I would put it like this. The only conclusion I can reach is that you're intentionally getting fed misinformation and disinformation so that nobody knows what's going on. And that's not just for, let's say, somebody like me or you that's a media consumer. It seems to be the same story for even these governments. There seems to be a lot of confusion in Europe as far as what's going on. There seems to be a lot of confusion in the Gulf nation states as far as what's going on. So yet again, and I've continued this policy. I've continued this policy all week, which is I'm really not going to the reporting on the ground. We've done very few videos as far as what's actually going on the ground with everything because it's so hard to tell what's real and what's not. And that still remains. But it does seem that there is clearly a fog of war right now and clearly misinformation and disinformation being thrown out there to keep everybody confused, including the governments in the Gulf nation states and Europe, and then us, the people, not even knowing what's really going on in Israel and what's really going on in Iran. So That's really the only conclusion I can reach as far as the on-the-ground situation is concerned. Now, some stuff we can confirm and bring it to you like we have today. But as far as like the big picture of what's really happening, it's very hard to drill into the reality of that. Now, you can take this with a grain of salt. Now, as I told you, though, and I want to be clear here, this is not me like flexing some great military source, okay? But, you know, I've got some military sources, and they've never fed me bad information. It's not like deep intelligence. It's just kind of like some general stuff like, hey, I know this is happening. Thought you might want to know. So don't take this the wrong way. It's kind of like the other day when we had Craig Sawyer on, and he was like, hey, well, you know, my sources are telling me that we've only gotten less than half the Epstein files, and then that was mainstream news the next week. So it's kind of more like that. And I'm not saying Craig is my source on this. But no, I have other military sources that told me the day I reported on 6 dead, or whenever those first reports started happening, that reached out to me and they said, hey, it's much more than that. And these are people that have never given me bad information. But they said, hey, look, it's more than that. So I don't know, just telling you for what that's worth. And then I saw this video again, take it for what it's worth. But there does seem to be, there does seem to be some reality here. Exactly what, I'm not sure. But we're talking about the hospitals in Germany.
Reports coming out of Germany that the hospitals is now closed. The labor and delivery is closed because they are receiving bodies. As of late last night, Germany hospital, they closed the labor and delivery ward. They wouldn't do this for 6 victims. They wouldn't even do that for 100. These are the people on the ground over there, okay? This is the hospital. They have military contracts along with Italy, okay? So please, just direct over there. I'm not here for views. I'm not here for likes. I don't give a fuck what you do with it. Take this information just in case there's someone, family member that they're trying to contact. Just pass that information along. I'm here to help, or at least try to help, okay?
So again, I'm not telling you to reach any conclusions off of that, but there's clearly some reality to that. And they could be preparing for more dead, and that's why they're shutting it down, because they're getting prepared. It could be that there is a lot of war injuries coming in, and maybe they're not dead. They're just injured people. Now, I will say, I wonder about the situation in Israel, because, and again, it's like, I can't, it's hard to reach any conclusion. So I want to be very careful at how I'm saying this. But it's very clear that Israel has sustained some very serious damage, and they're trying to block that out from the media. The reason I don't play any of this is because it's hard. It's just hard to give you a true, accurate picture. But clearly, Israel has sustained serious damage. Now, could these be Israelis that are getting flown over there, injured from these strikes? Could it be American servicemen and women? Could it be somebody else? Could they just be shutting down the hospital in preparation for that? Something is going on. That we are not getting the full story. We are not getting the accurate story. I'm telling you, folks, I had like 10 different stories, 10 different angles on this that I was trying to drill in to get at the best, most accurate information, and I just could not get anywhere I felt confident bringing it to you in the news today. And that's why I'm saying the only conclusion I can reach is that there's so much fog of war, there's so much misinformation, there's so much disinformation that I don't feel comfortable bringing any of it to you today, other than maybe some general directional stuff like, hey, maybe there's more casualties than they're telling us. Maybe they're getting ready for more casualties. Maybe Israel is getting hit harder than they would like to have us know. But that's about as deep as I could get, drilling into these different angles all day today. Now, here's one, and again, this is Reuters, who's really ahead of a lot of these stories when it comes to geopolitics. when it comes to war, Reuters is usually, ahead of a lot of other sources. And you can see here with their headline, even they can't seem to get down to the bottom of this stuff. And this is an oil tanker. Like this isn't like a single person or like a building, an oil tanker floating around in the ocean. Iran says it hit U.S. oil tanker in Gulf. No immediate confirmation. Now, let me, it's a short little caption here. And then I'll tell you, I think the idea of where this is coming from, because it was the same process I went through. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said on Thursday that they had hit a U.S. tanker in the northern part of the Gulf, and the vessel was on fire. There was no immediate confirmation of the incident or of a similar attack that Iran claimed earlier this week. The guards said in their Thursday statement carried out by state media that in a time of war, passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be under control of the Islamic Republic. Now, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. There are videos of an oil tanker on fire. Is it the Strait of Hormuz? Is it from this week? It's almost impossible. It's impossible to know. It's impossible to tell. But there are sources out there from the Gulf nation states and from Iran that are claiming that is Iran hitting an oil tanker in the Gulf. But even Reuters here, that's probably went through the same process I did to try to drill into this, is saying no immediate confirmation. The fog of war here right now is just... But here's the problem. And this is why I think there's so much pressure on, the independent media, or maybe myself, and I put the pressure on myself because I don't trust the corporate media. I don't trust the mainstream media. I don't trust the corporate media. They're nothing but frauds and liars. It's been proven. All they do is run propaganda. So, of course, we can't trust the network news. We have to try to put together a constellation of information and then try to find the core of it that might represent the truth, but can't find it in this deal. Can't find it. Now, of course, the U.S., they wouldn't want you to know if an oil tanker was hit because they're supposed to be providing a military escort and insuring these oil tankers. Now, if you recall, when the Trump administration came out and said, we are going to do military escorts, we are going to be doing insurance. Well, okay, the insurance thing is one deal. Maybe they can just print the money. Maybe they can't. The Pentagon came out in response and said, we don't have the personnel to do escorts. We just don't have it. Where are we getting this personnel to do escorts? So again, a lot of fog of war, no real confirmation. Now, this is where it gets interesting. And this was my prediction at the beginning of the week. Azerbaijan says 4 injured by Iranian drones, vows to retaliate. Now, that story from yesterday, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. Azerbaijan came out and they said, we are not going to be getting involved. In fact, it was their president who said, we are not getting involved in the war against Iran. And then the next thing that happens, Azerbaijan gets hit by a drone. I think these countries know how volatile and fragile this situation is right now. I think they're well aware that false flags are abundant. I also think they're well aware that if they don't play along with the Israel-U.S. alliance, that they're likely to face the consequences. Do you think it's a coincidence? Why would Iran hit Azerbaijan with a drone after Azerbaijan comes out and says we will not engage in this war against Iran? Why would Iran then hit them with a drone? It makes no sense. Now, who would? Israel, America, and say it's Iran to drag them into this war, to try to isolate Iran even more? Makes more sense. But it's fog of war. Who really knows? Now, here's more indication that this administration was just simply not properly prepared for this war at all. These were people that were in Dubai, and we'll get more into some of these other developments as far as what the Gulf nation states are thinking. But Dubai getting hit, these were expats in Dubai that just got back to the States talking about what that process was like and some of the other things that they saw.
Our very first flight to the United States, but somehow, because the flights after us got canceled because they started bombing the UAE again. So I think we got so lucky that it was just the first one. It feels like there's not anybody doing enough on our side here in the United States. It seems like Congress doesn't know what's going on. Americans don't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on, and they're not really sending help. They're not sending charter flights or anything. So we're stuck fending for ourselves for 5 hours from 1 in the morning until 6 in the morning trying to get this done.
With the 6-month-old, so it was really stressful, but I feel like we're back. So we can't think about the past anymore. It's just good to be back home.
Can I get you to be clear? It's been days, right? Since Saturday?
Yeah.
Right. And did you hear bombs or missiles or drones going off?
Yeah, we saw them. It was about a daily occurrence that they would go off between 1 or 3 in the morning. You would go and just hide in your room, or they had like kind of a makeshift bomb shelter.
Now again, let me just interject. What sense would it make for Iran to be bombing Dubai? Why would Iran be depleting its military supplies to hit Dubai? What good does that do them at all? Does that make any sense? So I guess the counterpoint would be, oh, well, they're just insane. They're just bombing everybody right now. They're bombing anybody that's a U.S. ally. They're bombing anybody that has a U.S. base. And so that's what this is all about. Okay, perhaps. I'm not so sure. Nobody seems to be sure, actually. Nobody seems to be sure at all. Who would it make more sense to actually fire all of these bombs, these missiles, these drones into these Gulf nation states? Israel and U.S., who are trying to draw everybody in to the war with Iran and isolate Iran, or Iran, who is trying to be isolated and needs as many allies as they can right now in the region? That's the million-dollar question. But as far as what's really going on, I don't think anybody knows, including the leaders of these Gulf nation states.
Where we would just go into this underground parking garage and we would just hang out for 30 minutes to an hour until we were told it was safe.
It seemed there were, like, organizationally just wasn't really a plan. I even had to reach out to this random military contacts I was aware of, and just, we made a GoFundMe. We tried to spread out, we were speaking with other news stations prior just to get a message out, because there was no plan for repatriation. We saw 200 Italian delegates get repatriated on a flight almost immediately after the issue, and because we're United States citizens, we couldn't repatriate with them despite being on staff. So all other countries were immediately, getting plans, getting planes in, where we were just kind of told, like, get a commercial flight and, stay safe.
What's your
Whatever the birthday was, we've been trying to leave every day.
So that gives you an idea of the support system, or lack thereof, as far as Americans that were stranded in Dubai when other countries had a plan ready to go. So kind of gives you an idea of the level of preparedness that this administration had. They got a couple of their friends out, and now you have private donors of jets like Patriots owner Robert Kraft. They're flying the Patriot team plane around trying to bring people back. So this one kind of gets hidden today. Pakistan man on trial in Brooklyn for Trump assassination plot says he was recruited by Iran. How about that? Asif Merchant testified that Revolutionary Guards coerced him into the scheme by threatening his family in Tehran. So that one kind of gets hidden in the headlines. You're surprised you don't hear more about that. You'd think that would be, you think that'd be bigger cause to get support for this war. But nobody really talks about that. And from my experience, whenever they ignore a story that would be to their strategic advantage, they ignore it because they know that it's not fully accurate. But hey, he's in court. He's claiming he was coerced by Iran via blackmail to try to assassinate Trump. Did you hear about that today? I mean, that's a fresh headline. And how does that get no play right now? How does that get no play right now? Meanwhile, out in Los Angeles, feds arrest alleged member of powerful LA street gang in sweeping drug trafficking bust. Oh, guess what? They were dealing fentanyl, and you know where it was coming from? Mexico. Yeah. Now, Cuba. Trump tells CNN Cuba is going to fall. I'm going to put Marco Rubio over there. So now we're getting involved in Cuba, too. What's going on in Cuba? Trump says it's going to fall. And is this connected to that agenda? Out of nowhere, Florida revives a long dormant probe into Raul Castro over 1996 shootdown of exile group's plane. Florida's Attorney General said Wednesday that a state-level criminal investigation into former Cuban leader Raul Castro's role in the 96 shootdown of 4 planes operated by anti-communist exiles will be reopened. So now Trump has his eyes on Cuba, and they're reopening a case from 1996 against Cuba. Sorry, I have a hard time believing that these are isolated. Now, allow me to get into some of the never doubt me folks. I believe it was last week when I said, keep an eye out for Turkey. And we had Israeli news sources saying Turkey is the new Iran and it's time for regime change in Turkey. And so I immediately saw where this was going directionally. Israel felt that it already has America and our military all in for the regime change in Iran. So they're already pivoting and getting ready for their next regime change, this time in Turkey. Well, which is going to be that'll be worse than Iran. And we don't even know what the outcome there is, but it'll be worse. Turkey will be worse than Iran. And I think Israel is going to run out of time. I think that Iran, if they're successful in Iran, I think that'll be the last success story for this expansionism. I think once Israel starts going into Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Turkey, I think that's where it ends. I think we'll look at some of these statements. I think they'll tolerate the fall of Iran. I don't think people are too concerned about the mullahs losing power. I think they'll be willing to turn their head, maybe even take a couple blasts, a couple false flags, and stand down. Maybe try to stay out of it. I think Iran will be the last regime change war where Israel will be able to have their way. I think if they move to Egypt, Saudi Arabia, or Turkey, which I think is inevitable, if Netanyahu is still the leader for their greater Israel project, eventually they're going to do that. And that'll be when it's over. That'll be when Netanyahu finally the world reacts to him. That'll be like Hitler's last stand. That'll be like when Russia or Poland stood up and the expansion of the Nazi Empire fell. And that'll be that. Now that's maybe getting ahead of myself. But I was spot on directionally when it came to Turkey. Now everyone else is seeing it. Mike Cernovich to his millions of followers. Next war already planned, and it's Turkey, which is a NATO country. My goodness, this is out of control. Don't gaslight me. We all saw the comments about Turkey being next. Stop lying. So everybody sees it now. Turkey is the next domino that they want America to get to a war with. I'm telling you, folks, it'll be it. Iran will be their last. If they don't stop after Iran, they will fail. And whatever expansion Israel has done into Lebanon and Jordan and Syria and Gaza, it'll all be reversed, and they'll be whittled back down to their original 1948 borders. Now, what else have I been talking about for years? I said the pro-Israel politics of America are coming to an end. I said they have, before 2024, I said they had 2 or 3 election cycles tops. Now it's down to 1 or 2. Everyone else is seeing it now. This is Ross Barkan from New York Magazine. The day Israel lost America is the headline. Here's some poll quotes. The two-party ironclad pro-Israel consensus will be dead in the United States in the next 10 to 20 years or maybe sooner. The war in Iran will drive the young left and the young right away from Israel. The die's been cast. Benjamin Netanyahu did what no prime minister of Israel should ever do. He turned Israel into a partisan issue and then a generational one. He started to do that incrementally when Obama was in office, and it got worse as he tied himself to Trump and MAGA. He ruined the relationship. So I don't know if Ross Barkan listens to my show. I doubt it. I think it's just so obvious now. I think everybody sees it now. And again, I was saying this in 2024. And then, of course, there was the famous moment with Pastor Greg Locke. You're going to get the opportunity to do that clip. By the way, he's like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen with him. But I won't even go down there. So, okay. Chalk up two, never doubt me, folks. But let's go for the trifecta. Let's get a trifecta, never doubt me here on today's Owen Report. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Qatar are discussing pulling back from the United States and other investments as the toll from the regional war with Iran mounts. Pressure on Gulf nation states' budgets could cause them to review their overseas investments and future commitments as they consider options to ease the financial strain caused by the U.S.-Israel war against Iran. Now, this is kind of a double dip, honestly. Gulf nation states review overseas investments to ease financial strains caused by Iran war. This is kind of a double dip, I told you so. One, I told you that all this investment, all this money that Trump claims has come in isn't there. It's not there. It never came in. Remember, I've been telling you that. So now these Gulf nation states that made the commitment to the investment, now they're saying, I don't think we're going to do it, actually. I don't think we can afford to do it anymore. And then what did I tell you? I said the Gulf nation states are going to try to remain neutral on this, and they don't believe these are Iranian strikes on them. They don't, because it would make no sense. Now, if they were just hitting military targets, maybe. They're hitting everything. They're hitting hotels, residences, the cities. So that's kind of a double. So really, it's a foursome today. Enjoy that. Maybe you're playing a little golf this weekend. I told you Turkey was next before anyone else. I told you the support for Israel had 2 to 3 election cycles. It's now down to 1 or 2. I told you the Gulf nation states did not believe that these were Iranian strikes. And I told you that all the investments from the Gulf nation states that Trump was claiming didn't exist. So, never doubt me, folks. Meanwhile, a couple other headlines for you here. Oh, we're just asking questions, right? From LifeSite News. Why are American Catholic influencers silent about attacks on Christians in Gaza? I think we all know the answer to that. And now Nigeria. When is this going to be back in the news? Nigeria halts Christian pilgrimages to Holy Land over Middle East conflict. Not only that, there's been more, they say, Muslim terror attacks against Christians in Nigeria. And now, did you know the U.S. military is in Nigeria? Did you know that? Oh, yeah. The U.S. military is now in Nigeria. Yep. Just a little bonus war for you. Why not a little bonus war? So, Cuba, Nigeria. All right. So let's look at some of this crazy. I've been holding on to this one. This is the same woman that she should have been charged with a crime. This is the same woman that stuffed the Israeli flag into Spike Lee's mailbox, which is quite literally by the book a crime. But she gets some of that white privilege, I guess. I guess that's her white privilege that she didn't have to face any punishment for that. So this is an Israeli loyalist. This is an Israeli propagandist, and quite frankly, a psychotic woman. She's right up there, Loomer level. So now they're making fun of Miss Rachel. You know, Miss Rachel, who brings in the kids that are wounded by this war onto her show, and they hate that. They don't want you to see what Israel has done to these kids. So Miss Rachel brings these kids on that have had their arms, legs, whatever blown off, and, you know, cuddles them and, you know, reads books with them on her show and plays games with them. And so the Israeli loyalists hate that. So now they're making fun of Miss Rachel even more so. This is totally not insane stuff at all. This is totally not somebody you look at and think that's a psychotic freak.
The mayor on the bus goes, hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Mayor on the bus says, hello, friends. All through the town. The money on the bus goes clink, clink, clink.
But the buses are going to be free.
This is like my song, you know?
Well, I have one for you. When you globalize Intifada, the buses go boom, 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 boom.
That's
boom,
what
boom.
that means?
What did you think it meant?
But what about the children?
They're just Jewish children.
Okay.
When you globalize it.
Now, how funny is that? She says, what about the children? Oh, they're just Jewish children. That's what you guys say about the Palestinian children. When people bring up the dead Palestinian children, you say they're children, they're guilty. So that's you guys that say that. Nobody says that about Jewish children. I guarantee you, nobody can find anybody talking about Jewish children like that. But you can find the Israeli war supporters celebrating Palestinian children dead. You can find that everywhere.
But what about the children?
That's what we ask you about the Palestinians, and you say, good, they're Palestinians. Nobody says that about Jewish children. I've never seen anybody say that, at least in the Western media, in the English media. I've never seen anybody say that about Jewish children.
They're just Jewish children.
Okay.
When you globalize the Intifada, the buses go boom, 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 boom.
Just kidding. I'm Laura Rachel.
And I'm Mayor Ben Menashe David, and we want to wish you a happy Purim.
As they're killing kids. How ironic is that? I mean, look, that is a psycho. Is that not a psycho-looking person right there? Like, Miss Rachel actually has, like, natural, like, you know, feminine woman energy. Like, just seems like a normal woman. And then what is that? What is that? Probably a lot of plastic going on there. So there you go. These are totally normal people, not psychotic at all. Here's another one. Brett Stevens of the New York Times talking about Tucker Carlson. Boy, this is that's a weird thing to say.
You know, Father Coughlin is today remembered as one of the most heinous and despicable figures in American history. This was the Catholic priest who was a raging anti-Semite and isolationist on the eve of World War.
There's your isolationist again.
War II. And that's essentially the reputation that Tucker is now creating for himself. I'm sure he's making a lot of money. I'm sure he's getting a lot of, he's certainly getting a lot of attention for himself. But he's not only just discrediting himself as a serious commentator, but his children, his grandchildren are going to have to live with the shame that their grandfather or father or grandfather came out as a kind of a increasingly flagrant anti-Semite.
Isn't that blood libel?
I can't think of any example in history when a screaming anti-Semite was well remembered by people in future generations.
That's such a great point.
Boy, that's a weird thing to say. Sounds like blood libel. Here's a question. What is the number one ethno-nationalist state in the world that is trying to expand its borders? You know what Hitler was doing. What is the number one ethno-nationalist even religious, you might say. What is the number one ethno-nationalist religious state in the world today trying to expand its borders like Hitler did? Who would that be? And then who would be the leader of that said ethno-nationalist state trying to expand its borders like Hitler did? Who would that be? What nation would that be that is the closest comparison to Nazi Germany policy and action-wise? And who would that leader be of said nation? Who would that be? But hey, Tucker Carlson is obviously the bad guy. You know, I did a video about this over a year ago, and I was never able to find it. I wonder if somebody out there could find it. We got a lot of great archivists that follow the show and stay in touch with me, find all kinds of great clips. And this is when they were really leaning into the anti-Semitic claims. If you were anti-war, you know, you just come out as anti-war, or you just don't like Netanyahu or what Israel is doing in the Middle East, they just immediately call you an anti-Semite. Of course, you know it's not true. That's woke talk. That's like, oh, you're a racist if you don't vote for Kamala, or you're a transphobe if you don't support trans. You know, it's the same thing. It's the same woke thing. Oh, if you don't support Israel, you're an anti-Semite. That's just woke. That's all it is. That's just woke speak. So when that first started going down, I shot a video explaining that the people that are doing this, you are the biggest problem right now for your own cause. It was a selfie video. Some of you might have remembered it. I shot a selfie video explaining how the people that are calling everyone an anti-Semite and the people that are, waging war against anybody that doesn't support what Israel is doing in Palestine or support Netanyahu, that you are your own worst enemy. And you're causing anti-Semitism, and you're going to you claim that you want to help Jews, but you're hurting Jews. Some of you may have remembered when I shot that. I tried to find that video. I could never find it again. I wish I could, because if I could, it was on my X account, but there's so much there. It was so hard to find it. I wish I could find that video, because I think it's even more powerful today, 2 years later, what I said in that video. But here's an actual Jewish person who's saying it in another way, but virtually saying the same thing that I said a couple years ago. But this is actually coming from a Jewish man. Here he says it.
If I was Jewish in 2026, I would be extremely worried, because the world is racing towards another Holocaust. Hear me out. For almost 100 years now, the Jewish community has allowed the most extreme and radical ISIS-like members of their community control them and direct where they're going. And in the last few years, after what we witnessed in Gaza, leading up to today, with the war against Iran threatening World War III, the Jewish community has been put in the spotlight more than ever. The biggest threat to the Jewish community today are the Jews themselves. If Jews truly believe that they are God's chosen people and that they must be a light upon the nations, then it's their duty to serve humanity and not fight world wars to have humanity serve them. The world in 2026 is done with racism and racial belief systems. In Israel, there is no home for a Palestinian, but in a free Palestine, there's a home for a Jew.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't start seeing more content like that. And I've already, I don't like doing the whole, it's just so tiring. It's like, hey, you're a racist. Like, oh, I have black friends. It's like, oh, you're an anti-Semite. Like, oh, okay, whatever. I have Jewish friends. It's just like, so stupid. But I've had the exact same thing expressed to me from Jewish friends. Exact same thing expressed to me. Sometimes they laugh. Like, hey, I saw that video, anti-Semite. Like, oh, yeah, here we go. It's like, oh, you're not allowed to have a political disagreement with a Jewish person, or you're an anti-Semite. Like, yeah, all Jews think the same. Like, what a ridiculous concept. But he's right, though. That's the truth. When you have people like Mark Levin and Benjamin Netanyahu and Laura Loomer and Ben Shapiro that claim to represent Jewish people as if it's some one-way thinking, and they think like everybody, and they are just drenched in blood and they can't get enough of it. Like, yeah, that doesn't really do good for your cause. It's not really good for your cause, you know? It's like, have you ever seen that viral video? There's a couple of them. And who knows if they're staged or not, but it's like these older black guys will see these black kids fighting at a park, and they're like, "What are you doing? Stop behaving like this." Or they'll catch, somebody stealing from a grocery store, and they're like, "Stop it. Don't you know what you're doing? This is bad stereotype. Stop it. Do you care about your people?" I wish I could find that video. But hey, here's a video we found. How far back does this go? Now we've got Netanyahu all the way back to 1986. Now, this is a wild one. I'm going to take a minute to break this down. In 1986, Benjamin Netanyahu. I want to take a minute to kind of break this down piece by piece, because it's crazy to hear him talk now. And it's just like, these are what the Israel loyalists in America, whose number one concern right now is Israel's issues and Israel's desires and what's best for Israel. We all know it. They all talk exactly like this. So it's crazy to hear this from Netanyahu. 40 years ago. This is Netanyahu 40 years ago. Listen to this.
The application of this.
Well, let's take a few theoretical examples really quickly, and let me ask each of you whether this amounts to terrorism. If Colonel Gaddafi were to send a hit squad of assassins to assassinate
Gaddafi, who the United States killed,
President Reagan, would that be terrorism?
Absolutely.
Mr. Buckley?
Well, it would be an act of war.
Well, would it be terrorism in
I don't think so, no.
particular sense we're talking about?
No, I think it would be an act of war.
Mr. Ducalaria, would that be terrorism?
No, this is terrorism. Obviously.
Yes. In your book, Mr. Netanyahu, you clearly say, for example, the attempt to assassinate Aldo Moro, that was terrorism. Well, now, if President Reagan were to send assassins, say, from the CIA, this is currently against the law, and many people say this is a very foolish law. Suppose that law were repealed, and we could send assassins from the CIA to attempt to assassinate Colonel Gaddafi. Would that, in your opinion, be terrorism?
The question of assassination.
Well, sure, it would be terrorism.
The question of assassination is related to, but not identical to, terrorism. Terrorism is usually preceded by assassination, but usually it doesn't end.
Now notice how he's twisting the logic here. If logic can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. So that's why he's couching this statement, because he knows he's about to twist logic and just engage in pure propaganda. I mean, look, you got to give it to Netanyahu. Whatever you think about him, you got to give it to him. He's a diabolical genius when it comes to how he manipulates people and propagandizes people and uses words and twisting of logic to get people to believe what he's saying, even though he's completely lying. You got to give it to him there. And of course, he was educated in the United States of America. So it's nice an American education for you.
In the case...
But not according, you're talking about the innocents. Terrorism is the deliberate and systematic murder, maiming, and of the innocent.
Precisely.
Gaddafi is not innocent.
Precisely.
Well, you
so
see,
why do you say it would be an act of terrorism?
See, there's a problem with that word. That word innocent is where the question of ends reintroduces itself.
No, not quite, Michael. Not quite.
Or at least, I think this is the trap you're falling into. When you start saying, well, Colonel Gaddafi is innocent, but Colonel Gaddafi isn't innocent, but President Reagan is innocent. Therefore, it's okay to send hit squads to get Gaddafi.
So see, the host here has picked up on it. Now the host has realized, okay, here's your logic not being applied universally. See how he catches that?
Not terrorism to send hits.
My favorite Latin motto is, quote, licet drovi non licet bovi. That which is permitted to drove to do is not permitted to a cow.
So you reject the
totally
attempt.
Because we have rights vis-a-vis Gaddafi that he doesn't have vis-a-vis us because he's an aggressor and we're not.
So you reject the whole thrust of the conference which Mr. Netanyahu ran, which was to define terrorism in a way where the goal, the end.
Again, this is 1986. Here they are. We're deciding what terrorism means. We're talking about getting rid of Gaddafi. And there's Netanyahu. Like, are we starting to see what's happening here?
Was not at issue. That there are certain things, certain modes of behavior you do not engage in, no matter what you're trying to achieve.
I think Mr. Netanyahu makes it awfully clear, or somebody does in this book, that.
And actually, let me flip this real quick and go to a different clip. So that's 1986. It's amazing how these things are happening today. When you go back and it's like, wow, there's Netanyahu. He was talking about it then, still doing it. And then it's like everything Netanyahu wanted came true. Here's another one for you. Again, this is 1980. So this is Netanyahu 40 years ago. Listen to what he says. USA is not a unified bloc. We have the Senate, the Congress, and the record-strong Jewish lobby on our side. We have strong influence over the general support in America. America won't force us into anything. Oh. From Netanyahu himself. How about one more? Just to really send the point home. How about one more? This is 1986. We're now 1986. Same conversation from earlier. So we're back here to the same conversation. Listen to Netanyahu.
Get these regimes, Libya, Iran. Think of Gaddafi or Khomeini.
Libya, Iran, Gaddafi, Khomeini. Who did we just take out?
Being accustomed to the idea that they can do anything they want, send their killers anywhere.
They can do anything they want, send their killers everywhere. What, like you? Like you guys do?
Strike at anyone, anytime.
Like
then
you?
you may very well find yourself in a world in a few years from now with a Gaddafi or Khomeini with nuclear weapons.
Oh, and there it is. And there it is. We now have Netanyahu 40 years ago telling you Iran would have nuclear weapons. And he talks about Libya and he talks about Iran, the two regimes that the United States killed the leaders of. I wonder for who? I wonder whose interests those were in. There it is. There it is. Pretty amazing, isn't it? All right, let's try to pile drive through here. You know what? This stuff is too... let me just mention this stuff. I don't have the time to get into it today. But I have been talking about this. Documents reveal a web of financial ties between Trump officials and the industries he helped regulate. What have I been telling you guys? I've been telling you Trump is just enriching his family and his friends right now. That's all he's doing. They're all invested in data centers, AI, the crypto rug pull. It's all of it. It's like, it's crazy. It's more than Biden. It's not pay for play like Biden. It's invest in these industries and then make sure they're successful with the power of the White House. Docs show DHS specifically steered $200 million in ad contracts, raising questions about Noam's testimony. Only 4 companies, all politically connected, were permitted to bid on work Noam told Congress without a competitive bid. So they're all in there just raking in cash. I know it's hard to hear, folks, but this administration is extremely corrupt. It's bad. It's everything they were supposed to stand against. And look, it looks like they're lighting the way for more of it. Pam Bondi rescinds policy banning politically appointed DOJ appointees from attending partisan events. So, in other words, they can now do fundraisers and rake in tens of millions of dollars. Isn't that fun? Very nice. And they would like to do that in the new ballroom, but that's not going so swimmingly now. Board delays vote on Trump's ballroom amid deluge of public criticism. A National Capital Planning Commission led by Trump allies moved the vote to next month and listened to hours of public testimony, much of it negative. Look, the idea, whatever, I don't like it though. This is what it's going to look like. It's gaudy. It's bigger than the White House. Like, what are you going to be doing there? It's the White House. What are you just going to let a bunch of people go in there and do ballroom activities? Who wants it? The Democrats are so crazy. They already said they were going to tear it down. It's crazy. Brendan Herrera ends up winning the Texas 23rd District primary as Tony Gonzalez has dropped out after the scandal with the aide. So that's good news. He's one of us. Meanwhile, Reverend Frederick Haynes wins Democratic primary for Texas's 30. Now, what did I tell you the Democrats' plan was going to be? What did I tell you they were going to be running on? Did I tell you they were going to run on the anti-Israel platform? I told you this was the election. I told you this was the midterm election they were going to do it on. This is the guy who just won Texas 30.
But I recognize that we've got to be pro-Israel. Yeah, we got to do that. Or we get in trouble. Well, I'm coming to get in trouble. Israel, and I'm going to quote Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter says that Israel is engaging in apartheid with Palestinians. And so the Palestinians who don't have the weaponry of Israel, the Palestinians don't.
All right, for the sake of time, I'm going to pull it down. You get where it goes. I think you get the point. He just won the election. Definitely not a supporter of Israel. Boy, oh boy. A lot of stuff happening here. AI news. This is too big. I can't even skip this. I got to get to the super chats, but I'm short on time here. Florida legislators advance a bill to authorize government surveillance based on views or opinions. Told you it was coming. Told you it was coming. And now employees at Google and OpenAI have written a warning about how bad this AI is getting and standing with Anthropic. Now, the Anthropic story is even crazier. I was digging into this today. Anthropic CEO admits we don't know if the models are conscious. Claude claims 15 to 20% probability of awareness. Well, the whole fallout with Anthropic and the government was Anthropic said, look, we don't want to be involved in data collection against America's citizens. You want to use our technology for defense, for military, for law enforcement. Okay, we draw the line at data from just citizens. We don't want to do public data gathering. So whether for ethical reasons or for storage reasons, whatever, they came out, they said, we don't want to do this. So then the White House, the Trump administration, the Pentagon is like, well, screw you, which tells me that's what they really want it for. Well, now Google, OpenAI, and others are standing with Anthropic saying, no, we can't do this right now. So again, whether it's for ethical reasons, because they don't want to illegally spy and gather data on citizens, or whether because they don't know if their AIs are conscious yet or not, and they're not sure of the ramifications, or they're saying, look, you want us to do this for you, but we only have X amount of, everything is finite in this world. So they have a finite amount of data space for storage. They have a finite amount of energy. And they're saying, if you're trying to get us to do data collection and storage of every single citizen on the planet, then we can't run effective defense strategies and military operations for you guys. So this is all coming out really fast right now, guys. It's happening really fast. I don't have really time to dig into that today. Let me hit a couple of funny things here before we speed through the super chats. You guys watch the movie Ace Ventura: Pet Detective? You remember that rhino from the movie? One of the funniest scenes ever from Jim Carrey. It's up for bid right now. You can bid on the rhino starting at $2,000. Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. You can bid on that rhino. Guys, do we need to bring that in studio? Is it time to make a move on the rhino? Should I put that in studio? We are against rhinos. We could go rhino hunting. Remember the other day when I was ripping the McDonald's CEO for that weak burger eating video? Well, they were listening. They all are. So now Burger King CEO did a burger eating video making fun of him taking a real bite. I think I saw a Wendy's CEO. So now burger mogging. We've created the burger mogging phenomenon. They were listening to this show. They all are. I give this advice out for free. I don't know why. I could be a multimillionaire with this type of marketing advice. Hey, so the basketball tournaments, the college basketball tournaments about to start. Apparently, they're using an LED screen for the Big 12 basketball tournament. How do you feel about that? I don't like it. Cool idea, but if they're not playing on wood, that's just an absolute travesty. So it's going to be weird to see what that looks like on TV. And apparently it's an LED glass floor. What are we doing? Sometimes they take this stuff a little too far for my liking. So there you go. All right. We're going to put the rest on hold. We take our final break, and we will get to the super chats on the other side.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, guys, it's crazy out there. It's crazy out there. You might be thinking about emergency preparedness. And if you're not, well, then you're crazy. Here you go. Right now, our friends at My Patriot Supply and preparewithowen.com have an offer for you. If you have done nothing, zero, zilch, as far as emergency food is concerned, this is the deal for you. A 4-week emergency food supply kit plus 1 week emergency food kit ammo can free with this offer. If a major disruption happened and you couldn't get to the store, how long do you think you would last with what's in your house right now? If it's anything less than a month, you need to check this deal out from our friends at My Patriot Supply, the #1 preparedness company with over 3 million satisfied customers. Right now, you go to preparewithowen.com. Their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply comes with an additional week of food free, the best long-term storable food you can find. At least 2,000 calories a day. Real meals with real ingredients, no artificial flavors or colors, and shelf life measured in decades. That's right. We all need to have some food stored for emergencies. Why not get it from the most trusted folks in the business and get a week of free emergency food supplies while you're at it? All you got to do is go to preparewithowen.com, or as you can see on the screen, you scan that little barcode. It'll take you right to the site. That's their offer. 4-week emergency food kit plus 1 week free right now. Preparewithowen.com.
Back to the show with your favorite talk show host, Tits McGee.
All right, guys, we got to fly through this. We're going to shut down a little early today and go on with Jimmy Dore. I told him I would do his show today, so we're going to end a little early. You can pop over to his show, pick it up there, flood his chats, tell everybody how great I am over there. Send them over here. Guys, let's try to get that YouTube channel up over 50K this weekend, huh? I think we're about a 500 number away from getting to 50K followers, subscribers. Let's try to do that. That's my homework for you this weekend. Thank you, guys. Love you. Here we go. Alyssa B. Ironically, those who want us involved in foreign wars have the smallest worldview. The world to them is only themselves and their donors. Well, that's one way of putting it, but it's funny that all the voices in the so-called media, their worldview is probably even smaller. Still accurate as far as the selfish nature, but they're not going to be going anywhere. Really sad how many sheeple are going along with this. Dust Vault. Yeah, I guess we can't be too surprised, though. John Big Boss, keep killing it, brother. Go get you a nice coffee. Thank you. Blackout coffee. You know the official coffee. Piss off, Panikin. I am peace. Trust in Panikins. Golden Age equals New World Order. What are we getting ourselves into here? Ohio Mitch. The propaganda isn't what it used to be. Do dissidents gave you a shout out yesterday. Do dissidents again. Do dissidents on YouTube. Is that a double whammy from them this week? Thanks, guys. Appreciate the kind words. Big ups to those guys. Gideon, shut up, silly woman, said the reptilian with an orange grin. You knew damn well I was not a friend before you took me in. Oh. All rise for me. Is this an Aaron Judge fan? You talked about the WBC yesterday when you have former MVP Cy Young winners and all-stars on Team USA. Team Israel is some lower-tier players. Thanks for changing my mind on Trump. Masi Kana, 2028. I looked at the full Team Israel roster. It's like 25 of 28 of them are all Americans. They're not Israelis. They were never in Israel. They're not from Israel. They were all born in America. Did you know more Americans serve in the IDF than in the American military? You know the old thing. I think USA plays Brazil tonight, 9-run favorites. Israel opens up this weekend. There was a game today or last night, Australia, Czech Republic, I think. I don't know. The World Baseball Classic baseball is just kind of the executives, the nerds, they ruined the game. They made all these rule changes. They brought in a bunch of stuff that they thought would be like trendy. It sucks. They ruined baseball in my eyes. Cowpoke Ranch. Not trying to be morbid. I truly believe MAGA Trump will be remembered as one of the darkest stories in world political history. Maybe it's too early to say that, but I understand. I understand the concern. I thought I would be a proud father moment because my 5-year-old son knows who the president is. Now I'm disappointed about who Trump is. AJ is Trump's mommy. Something about a golf ball through a garden hose and a ding-a-ling. Remember that classic segment? Did he know something? Anyway. Common sense, projection, deflection, and ad hominem attacks is all they have for arguments. That's why they are losing hearts and minds. You are the modern Paul Revere. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. But you are right. That's what we see. David Ballesteri. Greatest job, great analysis. Why do some want you to go back to AJ? Screw that. I don't know. Maybe it's just people trolling or making a joke. Or maybe things have fallen off over there and they think I can somehow redeem it. I don't know. I like being independent. I like what we've created here. I like my audience here. And much happier, much more comfortable. Thank you. Gas ass or grass is now going to have a new choice these days. Player hater 1. I don't even want to think about it. I don't know, guys. Tay, there's a reason why Ron DeSantis fired Susie Wiles. And there's probably a reason why Susie Wiles is running this administration to a certain degree. Hello, Kitty. Is it true that Pahlavi has been chosen to run Iran from Virginia? Good Lord, this is a fustercluck. So Trump came out against Pahlavi and said, no, he's not going to do it. Was that a bluff? I don't know. He's the one that's being propped up. He's the one going on Fox News. He's the one going to CPAC, the normal places where the neocons prop up their agents. Honestly, I don't think anyone knows. I don't think anybody knows. DZ300. Why didn't they do all of this in Trump's first term? Because then you wouldn't have voted for him for the second term. Don't you see? That's how it works. If Trump did all of this in his first term, he would have lost the election. So they have to do it in the second term because then he can't run again. Matt Unga Boonga. Damn, that is a throwback and shows your age, Owen. I love that Donkey Kong song. Yeah, we do the throwback video game music here. It's not going anywhere. That's what we do. I also just want to say, and I know the chat will agree, Fear Factory is the best OST of Donkey King. You mean Kong? I don't have one I don't have that one in the track list. You could add it. Well, maybe we'll think about that. Joe W. Nice. Looking forward to the Jimmy Dore episode. T-minus 15 minutes. Water bottle. Gonna throw Pat Stedman's name in again. MAGA influencer. Did prison time for J6. Arrived at similar but opposite conclusions from you. Your arguments are better, though. Much love for the show. I think I remember seeing some of his stuff maybe filter through X some months ago. I don't know too much about it, though. I'm done. Aruba is looking like a beautiful place to live. Spent a week there with the female portion of 2 generations. No one wants to bomb Aruba. Don't give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas. Honestly, these people are psychotic. I'm starting to think they might just want to bomb the whole planet. That's not even a joke. Seriously, these people are psychotic. The so-called God's people lie about everything to get their way. And then I think people claim to be that so that they can use that same claim. Owen Schroyer's wifey. Everything is so scary. Oh, don't be scared, babe. Don't be scared. Here for you. Dr. Sadia Oz used Grok to vulgarly roast Bibi. I saw that. That got like 3 million views on X. Seriously, he was a slimy bastard. Gotta go. Get Grok under control. Grockler's coming out. Expose 305. Jesus has always been here. He lived inside everyone who confesses his living word. He comes in the flesh through us. Used to love Ali G. Can't stand Sacha anymore because of his stance on Israel. So a hard pass on last week's movie. What's this weekend's movie? You know, quickly on that, you know, it's like, this is why I'm so sick of the left-right paradigm. It's like, all right, there's times where you go there. There's times where you go into the left-right paradigm, and then there's times like now where it's completely useless. But at the end of the day, it is actually really narrow-minded to try to put anybody in a box. It's like, oh, you know, the Israel thing's a left-right issue. No, it's not. You've got plenty of liberals that are very pro-Israel, and you've got plenty of conservatives that are very anti-Israel. All of these things are, it's like, that's why it's so stupid. You know, this new group of right-wing haters that aim their attention at me every day. You're a liberal. You're a Democrat. You think you can put me in a box? You're an idiot. How about that? Let me put you in a box. It's an idiot box. That's the box you're in. I don't have borders. Okay? I don't have borders. I have issues. I have policies. I have principles. I have integrity. And then I cover the news. So you can't put me in a box. All right, this weekend's movie. I got 2 for you because I'm such a generous guy. 2 for you. A throwback. A very underappreciated Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. The Sixth Day. Fantastic film. Another Arnold classic. And, you know, here's what I realized about these old movies. Because they do all these remakes of the Arnold movies. The remake of Running Man was good. The remake of, what was the one where they go to Mars? Total Recall sucked. That movie sucked. The remake of Running Man was good. You know, but I realized the difference. Like, why is the original Running Man so much better? Even though the new Running Man was good. Why is the original so better? Because, you know what I realized? They used to actually have to do this stuff. Like, they used to actually have to do these stunts. They used to actually have to put these sets together and go out there and do the scene. Like, they used to have to go out there and actually nail a scene. So there was an art to it and there was a ability to it. Like, you had to commit. Nowadays, there's so many graphic effects and editing techniques and tricks and all this weird stuff. It's like, you don't even have to go out and nail a scene anymore. It's like, you used to have to go out there and nail a fucking scene. Now it's like, hey, whatever, just go cut the scene and fix it in post. So, one movie, Sixth Day, Arnold Schwarzenegger, fantastic film. And even more relevant today, I would say. That film is even more relevant today. You'll find out why when you watch it. Now, the other one, Mercy, this was the Chris Pratt movie that just came out about the AI judge. I'm not sure. It's between, I'm thinking like 3.5 stars. It's between a 3 and a 4 for me, but I can't give it a fair rating yet because when I lined up to watch it, I was anticipating a much stronger social or political commentary on the concept of AI. So like, I kind of had that mindset going into watching it, and then you watch it and it's really not. It's really not. I mean, you know, there's some little things you might take away from it as far as, you know, is there a social political commentary on the concept of AI or an AI judge? It's like, kind of not the overtones of that movie. It's really just a good movie, I would say. I would say they just tried to make a good movie and they didn't really do any political social commentary on AI. I think it's worth a watch. The screenplay and the editing style, well, not as much the editing style. The screenplay, though, is very similar to what they did with the new War of the Worlds movie with Ice Cube. So the screenplay and kind of the general plot development as far as what they're introducing to you on the screen the whole time, it's very similar to the new War of the Worlds movie. It might have been the same. It actually might have been the same producers and directors. Wouldn't surprise me because of how similar it is. So those are your 2 movies. Guaranteed, Sixth Day, Arnold Schwarzenegger, guaranteed awesome movie. Mercy, the new Chris Pratt movie. I think it's a good movie, but I can't really say for sure because I was expecting something else, got something different. But there you go, double dose. Sam White, remember the failed coup in Turkey? Brutal. They're going to go back in. Ebu box. Oh, and I would be more impressed if your studio was your garage because it is so gangster for you have garage space and not need it for your car. Would that be gangster to have garage space and not need it for your car? I don't like leaving. I don't like leaving my car not in the garage, though. And the garage gets a little hot. Studios run hot. Studios run really hot. You got a bunch of equipment running, lights running. You're in here talking, thinking. Your brain is running. So studios get hot. I don't think I could do the garage deal in Texas. I actually know a couple of people that have a garage studio. They have to have multiple fans running. It gets hot in there. No, wait, no. It is my garage. I'm in the garage, guys. Let these artards say I'm in a garage. This is where the outside driveway. This is the garage door right here, and then obviously this is a garage because when you pull your car in right here, there's a 3-foot drop, and everybody knows that's how garages work. So all these geniuses, they figured it out, guys. I'm in my mom's garage here. I'm just desperate. Nobody's watching. I'm a loser. Let them believe it because they're so smart. Apocalypse. Netanyahu, 58 standing ovations in 52 minutes in January speech to Congress. Trump, not 58 in 1 hour, 47 minutes. Oh, wow. Did you count all that out? Yeah, well, we know who the real president is. Is that what you're saying? Owen Jones Schroyer, W Truth, W Week, big week, big week. Guys, complete this week for me and get me to 50K over the weekend. That would mean a lot if you can get me to 50K on YouTube over the weekend. Thank you for that. I forgot who it was, but someone did say Trump administration would go down as the most corrupt in history. I'm pretty sure he was a Trump supporter. Turkey is more expansionist than Israel. Cyprus, Aegean, Syria, to name a few. Do some research on that, Owen. They're the real problem. Reunite AJ. Sentient world simulation is what they are running, a parallel digital world where they can play out all outcomes and predict behavior. Well, that's what they think. That's what they think. Is Jimmy invited for supper? Yes. And Joe Wizard. The problem with Jimmy Dore is Kurt Metzger. What's wrong with Kurt? Iron Lunatic 1. Invested 300 in Chevron and United States Oil Fund today and made a whopping 160. Hey, congratulations. You're doing better than most. Angry Armenian. What do you think of FIFA? And do you think there will be a false flag connecting the firing of Christy Noam timing? I didn't make that connection. There are rumors that FIFA is considering postponing the World Cup. Rumors. The thing is already shaping up to be interesting. But, the deal with the World Cup is they always have problems. Honestly, the World Cup always has problems. There was drama in Qatar. There always seems to be some hiccup with the World Cup. Plus, soccer fans are nuts. But this one, we'll see. They might be seriously considering. Alex Wells, unfortunately, I think you are right on your analysis regarding the new Epstein drop and the nuclear option. They are clearly not satisfied. Lunatics, yeah. Very concerned. Jennifer K., let's get the Ace Ventura Rhino for our floating restaurant on Lake Travis. See, that's creative thinking. That is a successful mindset. I like the way you're thinking. What if I did an emergency live stream to raise a couple $1,000 to buy that rhino? I don't even know where I'd put it. I'm going to put it in the garage, guys. Haram Guzman, wrong. Aquatic ambiance from DK is the GOAT. We're having SNES Donkey Kong music debates. I like that. Fight Field Future. Mexico has dismantled nearly 1,900 drug production labs and 1.8 tons of fentanyl. Us, the only one you mentioned today. Let's invade Mexico to decrease consumption in the U.S. Oh, well, that's why we went into Venezuela. Oh, no, that was about oil. Have Dave Smith, Cenk Uygur unite against the war. Well, they've both been very outspoken on this. Obviously, Uygur for years, Dave Smith more recently coming to prominence on that. Owen, stop noticing stuff. It's antiseptic. Happy birthday, Amanda. From Salty Badger. Happy birthday, Amanda. 1 year younger. Ken Rose, thank you. Since Laura Loomer worked to get Trump to disavow Tucker, I hope he goes DEFCON on her and publishes a scathing episode to ruin her. Ooh, I'm going to stay out of that one for now. Maybe he should call Roger Stone. Or Milo. I've said too much. I know too much. Hit notifications. Do live surprise weekends. Shirley Maldo. Rhino Fund, Sleepy Outie. I don't know, guys. We might have to do an emergency live stream to purchase the Ace Ventura Rhino. Put it in my garage. Next to Dilly's cuck chair. All right, that's going to do it for this week for the Owen Report. I love you guys. We're signing off early because we're about to go on with Jimmy Dore. I promised him I'd do this today, so we're ending it a little early. So I owe you 30 minutes next week. How about that? We'll do it a little overtime, 30 minutes next week. I'm popping on to Jimmy Dore. First time on the show. Looking forward to it. God bless. Godspeed. Love you guys. Have a great weekend.